what were your initial reactions when you learned of Bradley Bredowitch's book for a Romeo and Juliet story set to your catalog? And I'll actually go to you first, Neil.
Oh, okay. Well, at that particular time, Patricia and I were both working on a musical, right? And not a jukebox musical. So we got to make sure that's correct, because we didn't want to do a musical where we did the same music and the same type of treatment, right? So if we were going to do anything at all about that, we would explore other ways of doing it, orchestrated different treatments and all that type of thing. So we were in the thought process of doing that a couple years before we found out about the Bradley thing. So then we found out that Bradley Bedouin was doing a musical, black box musical, using our songs. And we went, wait a minute. Do that. Wait. He's got to have permission to do that. So we sent our manager down there, and he heard it. He came back. He goes, well, it's pretty darn good. So he said, so he looked at it. He said, what do you want us to do? What do you want me to do? You got to shut him down. Can't do this.
We did.
So he had a conversation with him and says, because they're developing this other type musical platform, and really you can't be doing that. So the short story that we get from the long version of this is that we met Bradley. We were in part of in UCLA. We were honored for some thing. I can't remember what the thing was, but he brought Romeo and Juliet down to sing a song called Brave to kind of show us and meet us. And it was phenomenal. And we just said, you know what, would you work together? And he says, I would love to do it. So that's how he did it. And it was fantastic. It really was. So that's how the beginning was.
Well, thank you for that. And Pat, I wonder if you would just kind of share a couple of your initial reactions to when you first saw it in action.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first, I mean, the clincher for me was, I mean, we like Spider said, we knew that it was happening, and people had said it was, it was actually really good, and the songs were in an order that told the story. So that was intriguing to us. So when we saw the two young people perform Brave, which is a very emotional, close song for us, and just watching that happen, I think both of us knew right then that there was something to this, and we just, I don't know, the whole idea just worked. And the main thing that we were hoping to do is Bradley was doing a jukebox version of this. So the songs were plugged into the Romeo and Juliet story as you know them, in their form. But that was something that we were adamant that we wanted to not do. If we were going to do this, then we wanted to have these songs reorchestrated, reimagined into theatrical pieces, which is what we did. So that's why it's just, it's fabulous. It's all the things that everybody wanted are combined into one thing. So
that's so fantastic. And I wonder, would you talk a little bit about that process of reimagining these songs and kind of, what your starting point was with this story, Neil?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I didn't want to do the same treatment. I didn't want people to hear the songs exactly how they were from the records, because that was a moment in time. I'm happy that moment existed, but I'm also happy to reinvent and rebirth some of the songs and make them different. And that was exciting to me. I wanted to orchestrate them in a way that had a heaviness, a depth of even more rhythm, adding string, having a string a section, a trio to play, to be counter rhythms and polyrhythms, and create a whole different type of feel for the story. Because it's, as you know, it's a dark story. Romeo and Juliet doesn't always end the way it's supposed to end, right? So as we know, so it's a dark story of two cities, two countries, two families, two fighting amongst themselves, all these things, right? So the music had to apply itself to that type of feel. So I was extremely excited about doing that. I love the idea of taking the songs, breaking them apart. But there's another thing that's really interesting, and that is what is happening now is when people are seeing and listening and watching the play, the musical, they're hearing songs that weren't necessarily hits, but the way they've been transformed, people are thinking to themselves, wait, I don't remember that hit. I was too young to remember that, because they sound like hits because they're different. And they apply so much. It's almost like live theater it's taken away the memory of MTV in a little way. And to me, that's kind of like a pleasant thing. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
it's
great. I mean, it was a great evolution because, you know, when Bradley did it, his inception of this was just phenomenal, but he didn't have access to all of the catalog. He was choosing, you know, the songs that everyone knew. The thing that we brought to it was that we brought all of the deep cuts and the B-sides and everything else to this. And then, you know, we have a tremendous vocal arranger, Jesse Vargas, who just did incredible things with the vocals and things. So all of the team together just created this amazing expansion of the songs, which is what we were interested in. We were not interested in just doing them as, you know, as they were written and as they were recorded, because we had already done that. So we got exactly what we were hoping for. So
I love that. And I wonder if this resonates at all, but I know you reinvented some of these songs, you know, made new arrangements. However, once seeing them put together on stage with the actors' interpretations, with the director's ideas, et cetera, were any of the meanings of these songs kind of shifted for you once you saw it all come together?
absolutely. I mean, that was, I think, for me personally, because I'm the vocalist, I'm the deliverer of these songs, especially obviously the lyrics. So, you know, these songs have specific meanings to us. Sometimes what they were written about is specific to us. Other times it's just the interpretation of it after it was written, what it means to us personally. But these songs were never sung by anyone else but me. So seeing this, having all these beautiful voices and their interpretation and the way that the song is placed into the story, the progression of how the lyric from each song moves the story forward is amazing. And it's just, for me, it was the most fantastical part of what was happening.
Amazing. And Neil, does that resonate for you at all? Were some of the songs shifted?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I really like what's happening, the different type approaches that the singers are all using, you know, and what their tones sound like and how they interpret the song. And truthfully, there's no way for them to kind of mimic or actually try to sound exactly like the records, because the whole backing tracks are completely different. So it's all different.
Wow.
So, and it's exciting. You know, I mean, I personally love it. I mean, I wouldn't have done it unless I was able to kind of really transform the songs into something different. And telling the story, they really tell the story. I'll give you just one example of a story. There's a song called Kingdom Key that was, I can't remember which record it was off of, but it was a song that existed. Not a lot of people probably paid attention to that song, but inside the story,
It's
Kingdom Key works perfectly.
It's
Perfectly.
verbatim what needs to be said. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
because Paris wants the kingdom and he wants to get the key, but he can't get that key. It's not going to happen to him. You know, he wants it, but he's not going to get it. So it's just interesting how it feels, you know, works really well.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. And I know that you were involved, you know, in the production, obviously. What was it like being on set? What was your kind of involvement with in rehearsals? If you
We're every day, as long when that door opens and when that door closes, we are here. We're at every performance. We have been here every moment of every day. We have not missed a minute. So we're very involved, and you know, we're producers too. And besides being composers and, you know, and working with Bradley on the book and everything, it's just, you know, we are deep in. So
it's an interesting process because it's very democratic, and it's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? So as a producer, you have to oversee everything that's going on. So you have to give your opinions and help move the thing forward, right? But then as an orchestrator arranger, you have to step into that. And I'm also orchestrating and arranging with Jesse Vargas. So I need to have him bring me stuff. I need to bring stuff to him. So there's a balance between everything.
collaboration,
It's collaboration it's like everywhere, you know, and then we have our director, you have ideas of where the story's going. You have to pass those on to her, but then she has an opinion. So it's different than the world that I've lived in, making records for us and other people. I go in as a producer, it's finished. I hear the whole record song completely in my head. I know exactly what to tell people to play. And if they can't play it, I'll play it. It's just that there's like, it's sort of like I hate, if there's one person I can kind of say it's kind of like, in a way, it's sort of like what Prince would do. He'd be in a little capsule, or, Brian Wilson. I like to go in a studio and create my own little capsule. Right. But this is the absolute opposite of that. You got to listen to
so
everyone.
great. I mean, it's just an amazing experience.
It's great. It's great. And everybody's got an opinion in it. And a lot of times they're all great, so it's a great process. It's different,
I love it. Wonderful. Thank you. And I unfortunately have not been able to see the show yet. I will be there on Friday, so I kind of
Great. Yay.
excited. I read in the synopsis, there are words like how it explores love and equality, and there's something about a progressive resistance being tamped down. So I wonder if you would kind of share with me a little bit of the topical issues that Invincible takes on at this, time when there's a lot of strife.
It's interesting because, the beauty of Shakespeare is that the stories are timely and timeless. You know what I mean? You can plug them in any era, and there's always some way that they work. So that's what's happening here. I mean, the story, everyone knows the story. Everybody knows the framework of the story. And the only thing that's happening now is that it has a contemporary twist to it, so that it follows along with what is happening in the world right now. The interesting part is that the theme of it is still the same, that people are still trying to control. One side is trying to control the other side. They don't, whatever their beliefs are, they don't like them. They want them to stop. And the other side wants to dictate the beliefs. So this, this is universal, and this is, there is no era that doesn't work. And the interesting thing is that in this production, we have explored and gone into depth with gender fluidity and things like that. So that's really great, because that's not where the conflict is. The conflict is where it doesn't matter what gender you are, anything else. That's not where the conflict is. In Verona, all of that is okay. The conflict is that in any one of those groups, they have a conflict, you know what I mean, with each other. So it's just this interesting mix of taking all the things that happened in the last 4 years and with COVID and how everyone is. And it just, the great thing about art always is that you have a choice. You can be in the moment and take everything that is happening to you and incorporate it into what you're doing, if it is pure and true, not fabricated. If this is meaning something to you, you can incorporate this in. And that's what happened here. It just naturally just evolved into what it is. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Neil, did you want to add to what Pat said?
Sure. It follows time that's in the present as well as the past. So you have two families that don't get along, two families that have different ways of how they live and how they want to live and what they want to do, and the power struggle between the two. It's the Capulets. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to today and all the political problems we have. And we're trying to give you, if there's a word that we're trying to give you with the story when it's over, is hope.
Hope. Mm-hmm.
We definitely need that we can be different, and we can have different opinions, and we can have different political beliefs and everything. But in the end, we're all humans, and we're all we have. We're all we have. So we self-destruct, and it becomes a big zero. So the family fighting, infighting, outfighting, it's all there, and it's great to see. It's great to see the cast just get so involved, and just have such a great time. So.
Yeah, and I imagine a different generation and singing songs. Some of them are 40-something years old.
Oh yeah,
they're old. We're old. We're old.
I am getting there. I mean, I just re-looked at because it's called Invincible. I just re-looked up the lyrics for Invincible, and I mean, talk about a timeless rallying cry.
Yeah, I mean, that's what every one of the songs. It's like crazy how, when you line them up in a certain order, the lyrics literally move the story forward as it needs to be moved. So it's crazy.
Wonderful. I wanted to touch on a little bit. First off, congratulations on your induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
I mean, I was, as a kid of the 80s, this was a big year for me to watch.
Dad, yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. What does it mean to you to have been included, with your colleagues and peers in this, I think, a really stellar roster this year?
Yeah, it was a great, diverse mix. And everything has its time. I mean, you just, these are not things that trouble you or that you're thinking about, you're living life, and of course it's nice when it happens, and it was great. And it was really nice to have it happen. And it was Spider and I, we were standing there, like I was telling somebody that we were in sound check that day before. And I was standing there, and I was just, you're just standing there, and some of it's just so overwhelming, and I just looked at him and I said, did you ever think that when you and I met in SIR in 1979, that this would ever happen? I mean, and that's what goes through your head, that kind of thing, because it's, sometimes it's just big, it's big, and you just try to take in as much as you can, and love it and do it, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, wonderful. And Neil, did you want to add anything to the rock?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because when you're in the moment and you're doing things, more people go see people walking by, the whole cast members and stuff. That's why I keep waving. They keep walking by. It's just it's like, hey, how you doing? It's like when you're in the moment, like we were 43 years ago and so forth. You're not thinking of any of this stuff. First of all, you're moving so fast. Your only thing you want to do is make great records, do great performances, live in that moment. You never even think twice about it. I remember when somebody came up to me and says, you realize you're the first guitar player on MTV, and Patricia.
We didn't even know.
We had no idea. That was like,
no.
had no idea, because we never paid attention to that. It didn't, none of it mattered.
Yeah.
Only thing that matters now is that it shows you how old you really are. That's telling, So, but the Rock Hall thing was a great moment. It was a great ceremony. It felt really great to be up there. It's very weird to look out there.
It's very weird.
Lionel Richie, and you see The Edge and Lenny Kravitz, and they're all looking at you, and it's like, how did you get in my living room? What are you doing here? It's like it is sort of a surreal moment, but it was a great moment. We're honored to be there, and we thank everyone for having that opportunity to do that for us. So and it's for everybody. So
wonderful. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Pat, you've always been you've used the word feminist, which is a weighty but very critical word to be claimed. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about what it means to you to see people like, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and thinking of people like you and Annie Lennox, who are very much ahead of their time. And then you've got a younger generation of, Pink and Brandi Carlile and Sarah Bareilles, who are all out there doing their thing. And I wonder if you would just talk a little bit about what it means to you to have passed a baton on in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, I grew up, I'm going to be 70 years old. And, so the women's movement I was 14, when Betty Friedan wrote and Gloria Steinem was out there. And, it was, it just spoke to me then, and I didn't know, I was a kid. I didn't know anything about anything, but I knew that it spoke to me. I grew up in a household filled with women. My father was there, my brother was there, but everybody, my grandmother and my mother's sister came to live with us, and I had women doing everything in the house, and everybody's paycheck was equal. And what I was seeing in my house wasn't what I was seeing in the world, and that didn't make any sense to me. So when the women's movement began, it just resonated with me, and it just was always part of the fiber and fabric of my personality in my life. I mean, I never understood it. I understand it now. It doesn't mean I ever am quiet and agreeing with everything. I understand why it is what it is, but I'm just saying that for me, it was always the quest. And when I decided to do this, and when Spider and I met, and we knew the difficulties that stood in front of us, because, every day it was, girls don't sell out Madison Square Garden. And, for us, we were just making music. It had nothing to do with having a female in front or not, that kind of thing. So it was great. It was great to have that attitude, because in the band itself, we were, that didn't exist, but we encountered it every day out there. So it was very useful, because it just made us more militant. Oh, goodness, what is that? Hold on one second.
Oh,
Let's
that's
look at
you.
that.
Is that your thing?
Decline. Okay, so it just made us more militant, and it was very useful. It helped solidify lyrics. It helped solidify persona on stage. It did a lot of really great things. So I'm grateful to have been in that war. It was great. And so and knowing that there were, and grateful to the women that went before, because they had it even worse than we all had it. You know what I mean? They really were struggling, and we were basically just starting to put down stones in the path, and then to see that the younger girls now, younger women now have actually like stood on the stones is very gratifying, to watch them. It doesn't even occur to them. The things that we had to think about every day in their world, it doesn't occur to them anymore that it would have been that it would be possible to have a radio programmer, had his leg and say, you sit right here and we'll get that record played. I mean, that doesn't even occur to them. And I can't even tell you how happy I am about that. And we have daughters and granddaughters. So, for us, I mean, Spider, one of the reasons this worked is because Spider was
Neil, by the way, just so you know.
I'm sorry. I call him Spider, Neil. But
Yeah.
one of the reasons,
No, I love that. I love it.
one of the reasons that this relationship worked is because he was one of the only like really secure men that I knew. He was never, first of all, he didn't, I mean, not romantically, obviously he knew I was a female, but I'm saying when we worked, it never felt like that. You know what I mean? We were complete equal partners, and, we raised our girls like that, and they're raising their girls like that. And if it wasn't, I mean, if I had picked someone who was sexist or misogynistic, I mean, that would never have happened. But I'm saying, had that person been part of the team, that would have made it extremely different. So having this relationship together was very
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
jump.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in here because it's important.
I was gonna throw to you
Because
anyway,
you're
Neil,
talking
but
because you're talking about me right now, so this is important that I need to say something. So Tracy, you're not going to get, many people aren't going to get these comments that I'm going to give you here. So this is going to be special for you. People hear this, so
Yeah.
it's very important. When I was young, my sister would walk to school and I'd walk her with her to school, and I was only 5 years old and she was like 7 or 8. And people would make fun of her and do stuff. And I was so mad that I would fight anybody that would make fun of her.
Mhm.
And because she looked a certain way, looked different, and boys were making fun of her, I would not tolerate that. My mother always told me treat women as equals.
Mhm.
And I always did. Always, always, always. I was like Patricia was saying, I'm totally secure. I'm completely secure as you're going to find anywhere. But the truth of the matter is this. When we began, I truly was only looking for a great singer. I didn't think about it being a female or male or any pronoun. I wasn't thinking about any of that gender at all. I'm a songwriter, a musician. I wanted somebody that could sing because I had a vision of writing and producing and making records, and I couldn't do it alone. Patricia was perfect. It was a perfect situation that happened. Now, I was not going to tolerate anyone treating Patricia bad, or any woman anywhere, ever, any gender, in any kind. This is when I become a little tougher than I really should be, because I'm not that tough. I'm mentally tough, but as a fighter, I'm not that good of a fighter. Let me tell you that. But it can get real crazy if somebody makes somebody feel bad ever. That bugs the hell out of me terribly. So it was a perfect situation, because with Patricia, she was like I used to say, she never would say no. She always said yes. And it was a professional. We got to think of
Only to you. Only to you.
She since says no all the time now. But before she was just saying yes all the time. But
No,
I'm
it's my
talking-
favorite word.
Yeah, favorite word. But I'm talking about from a professional side. So every time we walk into the studio, every time we touch the stage, it's not about a personal relationship. It's about a professional relationship. And I never looked at her as an unequal. It was always an equal, like I said. And this would not have worked had it been, I had a different way of thinking. Tricia had a different way.
Couldn't have.
And the reason I know it is because I got daughters and I got granddaughters. I finally got a grandson. Finally, the universal God said,
Only 3 weeks
Okay.
old.
Oh, congratulations. That's
yeah,
amazing.
thank you. Yeah, like a month old. It's just
Yeah.
really tremendous. So, but anyway, it's important to know that, you could do great things in partnerships, professional partnerships. If you let go of whatever that macho or whatever from either side,
Yeah.
just let go of that stuff. It doesn't have to live in our world, anybody's world, right?
Agreed. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. We probably have to wrap soon, but I wanted to give you just a moment. If there's anything else you wanted to say about Invincible or anything else you're working on, I wanted to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Invincible has been a dream come true for us because it's ticking off all the boxes that we had hoped it would. It's just been an amazing experience. Tiffany Nicole Green is our director. She's been incredible. It's been incredible working with this cast, and just they bring it every day. We're all here 15, 16 hours a day. We're all here together, and it has been an amazing experience, and it's still evolving. This is our first full production. We have done 5 staged readings, and this leap was tremendous, and not without its difficulties, but everybody really worked so hard, and I'm so proud of them all, and I'm so grateful to them all, and it truly is everything I'd hoped.